Hello, my name is Ross Howard. Welcome to the UTS-instructionals. Today we're going to go over the large enclosure, the 48 fibre FOSC. We're simply going to be prepping in a 48 fibre single mode cable into a single gland, into a single port. There's various ways, different glands you can use, different ports, so we're just going to start off just with a single cable prep. Of course, the first thing we have to do is strip the cable. I usually put a good length on, about 1.8 meters, onto my bench, secure it into the vise. I'm going to ring where I want the butt of the cable to be, and literally from there, literally, 1.6, 1.8 meters, something like that. Okay, so we're going to take the outer sheathing off now. Okay, the outer sheathing's off now. We're going to have all the Kevlar, all the Kevlar and excess waste in here. Hence why I use Kevlar scissors. Keeps all your snips sharp. I personally use one of these needles from a knitting set. Okay, now we've got all this off. All the tubing is going to be twisted around the strength membrane in the centre. You've got a couple of dummy tubes of this particular cable, and we're going to have 4 tubes for the 12 fibres. So to unwrap this, what I usually do is get the tubes at one end, and if you take the strength member out, you can put some pressure, and there you go, it's untwisted it. There you go. Let's took the twist out of the cable. Then I'm going to cut the dummy tubes out. Not all cables have dummy tubes, but this particular one does. Now with the strength member, for now I'm just going to cut it a little bit longer, maybe 6 inches. But for this joint, for this particular joint, we're going to measure it and we're going to cut it to 40 mil. Then that will fit perfectly once we prep it into the joint. That will fit perfectly to hold the strength member in to the fixation point. Just get rid of all my waste here, tidy up a little bit. Okay. A little measurement I made earlier for 40 mil. And there you have it. Cable's prepped. Cable stripped. We're now going to prep it into the joint. Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to prep in this 48 fibre cable into the single port of the larger enclosure. It's the 48 fibre FOSC. We're going to prep it into the far side, and we're going to just use a single gland for this occasion. Obviously there's multiple glands you can use. You've got the one with the 4 ports, you've got 15 mil, the 20 mil. Even with the 15 mil, that can shrink down. I've had 3 mil blown fibre cables in this, and it holds it super tight. The 4 port glands, they're going to go up to about 8 mil. So even if you wanted a little patch lead in there, these can shrink down and hold that nice and snug. Another thing I wanted to say was the smaller enclosure, the 96 fibre enclosure, the parts are interchangeable. So all these lugs that come out, they're exactly the same diameter. So all the glands from a larger enclosure, they'll all fit into this smaller one. Yeah, they will fit in. Then you just need the fixing gland straight into the back. Okay, so I'll leave this on a desk, you know, if I wanted to show you any close-ups of the ports. Obviously the 4-port gland, you're going to have the stoppers in, the 10 centimetre stoppers, so once that's inside you'll be able to extract it from the outside. So you can leave 3 stoppers in if you're only using 1 hole, and then just take them out as you need them. These parts as well, if you're doing a fibre outage or a changeover, say the joint's been in the ground a couple of years and you need to do a diversion, if you're going to be taking out an existing cable, these glands are reusable. So if we're taking a cable out, we're doing a diversionary works, we've got a new cable prepped in and we strip it in, you don't need to throw this gland away. This is reusable. You know, you just use the same part, put a new cable in and reuse it. So basically on your van you're only going to need stock of a few different glands, and you can work in any of the joints. I'll do the strap. As you keep these all pushed forward. These are self-holding trays, you don't need any brackets to hold them up. These are self-supported trays. So usually you could have the joint standing up, might be easier to work in. For the demonstration I'll just have it laying down so it's easier to see. Got the casing off, you've got a picking tool in there as well, a little pick. And it opens it out. I have already prepped in the oval port, but that will be in another video. I'm going to do a breakdown of this, but for now we're going to be just prepping in a single cable. Well, this is one we stripped earlier. Okay, so what I've done on the back here, you can't see, I've got it to this stage here. I've just taken out the stopper and I've just placed this in for now. I've popped in a single gland straight in, and I've popped this in as well. Okay, that's the stage I'm at here. So we've measured this to 40mm, the strength member. We've measured that to 40mm, that can be tied straight in there. But now we need to figure out where to mark these, mark the tubes. What I usually do, pop it straight in. I mean, a lot of engineers work differently, so there's no right or wrong way, but this is a good demonstration. What I can do, I can push it up to where I want the butt of the cable to be, and now I can hand tighten the gland and it will hold the cable still. That will hold the cable still for me. Use a Sharpie or whatever you've got. And I'm just going to measure the tubes. The tubes, these are a push fit. So these are going to push in and it'll hold it still for you. When you want to measure it, there's a little lug at the top here. You want to measure the tubes just in front of that lug. So the tubes are going to be sticking out 5mm or so, or a couple of mil. You'll be able to see, I'm not sure, but in front of the holders there's a lug there. Just measure it in front of there. Okay, now we've got the measurements. Now, we can secure the cable in at this point. If you was only using 1 or 2 tubes, or if it was a small cable like this, we can secure the cable in, strip and clean the fibres. The other way, some people like to clean all the fibres first, so I can fix it into the vise, clean all the fibres, and then place it back in. That's fine as well. Both ways are absolutely fine. For now, I'm just going to show you this method. So I've measured these, loosen this off again, pop this back up, and and have it in my vise, just because that's where I'm used to cleaning the fibres. I use a bucket. I'll get a little bucket there, put my white spirit in. Ringing tool. Okay, I've stripped and cleaned the fibres now. Now we're going to poke it through the gland. I'm just going to use a cable tie for this. Gently push it through. Do it any way you want, but I find this easier. Just pulls it through like so. Try and keep these fibres off the floor. Now I'm at a stage where I can take out the vise, push it in further. Get this roughly where I want it, and then I'm just going to hand tighten the gland just to stop it from pulling out. Yeah, so it still moves back and forward, but it's just holding onto it so it doesn't drop onto the floor. Now I'm going to put the Jubilee clip off. I've tightened it up slightly just to save me tightening up loads later, because these are made for all the size cables, so this is a smaller 48. Now at this stage, the Jubilee clip is going to be clamping down onto the cable. One thing I would say, it would be a good idea to put a bit of tape around the cable to protect it. You don't really need to with this cable, because the outside of the cable is quite thick. However, I've got some protective tape that comes in the box. And I'm just going to tie it around the end quickly. So as the Jubilee clip clamps down, you don't want it damaging the fibres, especially on blown fibre. This is mostly important for blown fibre cables, but just for the video I'll show you. I can push it through. Now I know roughly where it's going to be. Push the cable in a bit further. Run the tape around. There we go. Now the Jubilee clip pops over. Just keep it loose for now. I'm going to clip it onto a little lug. Okay. Now, the strength member, we've cut it to 40mm. We're going to loosen off the nut, so this is loose. And we're going to keep it loose, but we're going to put the strength membrane in, just so everything's still fairly loose at the moment. Okay. Everything's in position. Now the tubing is spiraled around the strength member. Right? What you want it fleeting on the top side. This is the same in all joint enclosures. You don't want it wedged underneath, because when you tie the strength member in, it could crush it and it could put some kinks in. So you want it nicely fleeted around the top. We're in a case now we can now tighten everything up. I'm going to start off doing my Jubilee clip. tight. Careful with the fibres, just roll it over, turn the strength membrane in. Okay, I'll leave it there for a second. The last part is the back bracket, the gland. There's a tool inside the box. It's got a nice little L shape on it. So as you tighten it up, it won't hit the other ports. Okay, so it's hand tight at the moment. You just pop it in, and you can really get some good torque on it, some good leverage there. To be honest, this is actually strong enough to hold the cable. These extra points, that's for extra precaution to stop the cable from twisting. So there's 3 locking mechanisms there. But honestly, when you do even as thin blown fibre cables, I've done it in these small ports. I've just used this before, and they're strong enough to hold the whole joint up. You know, you can swing it around, the cable ain't coming out. You can really get a good torque on that, good leverage. Okay, now we're in. We can simply push the tubes in. They push down and they clip in and they self-hold in. I've got 4 tubes, blue, orange, green, brown. I've done them in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now they're ready to place into your trays wherever you're ready to splice. Some of the newer cables, the blind fibre cables, some of the tubes are a lot thinner. If you find they are a little bit loose, there's nothing wrong with putting a bit of tubing over the top to hold it in. There is tubing supplied. You can cut a bit of tubing in and you can just simply push in. So hold your tubes in. But for normal single mode cables, that's fine. This is good enough to hold it in. So what I'm going to do is just place tube 1 into tray 1, tube 2 into tray 2, etc. Using the pick provided. The ladies over the back. Okay, all you have to do is run it along the runners, tuck it in, straight into the first gland here. Just got to tuck it behind, down here. Okay, we will be splicing this today, but for now I'm just going to wrap it up. Just coil it in. All done. They're all back together now. And that's it. Thank you for watching the instructional.